how many of you would say, as compared to, I don't know, 5 years ago, that you yourself struggle more with fatigue than before? Okay. How many of you would be willing to admit that more than once in the last month, you've actually had a pretty lousy night of sleep? Okay. How many of you would be willing to admit that more than once in the last month, after 12 noon, you've actually had coffee for medicinal purposes only? Okay. How many of you, when you're especially wiped out and pooped, actually go out and party with family and friends? Okay. How many of you tend to isolate, withdraw, and hibernate when you're feeling fatigued? Okay. How many of you would be at least willing to consider a 5 to 10% pay cut for a substantial increase in job satisfaction? Okay. So I'm going to be covering a variety of topics today that's going to touch upon all of those different questions that I just asked. Really, in the first section today, there's 4 different sections throughout the day. The first section is going to be focused really on energy and how do we kind of look at and understand energy and fatigue without hopefully putting you to sleep. When we come back from the break, I'll focus much more on what are those activities both during the day and during the evening that can improve not only our sleep quality, but increase our energy and maintain or stabilize our energy levels. When we come back from lunch, I'll be talking much more then about the role that stress plays. How does stress play a part in the inflammatory process, the vascular inflammation that can occur as a result of stress that then can connect with fatigue. Looking at chronic fatigue syndrome, for example. And then at the end of the day, I'll be talking much more about mood management. What are the evidence-based strategies that really we should be promoting more to help our patients battle or offset fatigue? So to make today useful, kind of implementable, if you will, and practical, one way for me to do that is to kind of poke fun of myself and others in that ivory tower. And Calvin helps me do that. He says, you know, I used to hate writing assignments, but now I enjoy them. I realize the purpose of writing is to inflate weak ideas, to obscure poor reasoning, and inhibit clarity. With a little practice, writing can be an intimidating and impenetrable fog. Hey, want to see my book report? Hobbes reads the title, The Dynamics of Interbeing and Monological Imperatives in Dick and Jane. A study in psychic transrelational gender modes. And Calvin proudly proclaims, academia, here I come. Okay? Well, so practical, actionable. Okay, that's important, but you also know you wouldn't leave here with 6 credits if I didn't kind of almost guarantee that what I say is based on the data. Right? Evidence-based medicine since the mid-late 80s. It's all the rage. Everything has got to be based on the evidence, but don't you think we get a little carried away from time to time? You find yourself in a bar, one patron says to the other, are you just pissing and moaning, or can you verify what you're saying with data? I really hope I'm not pissing and moaning up here for 6 hours. So again, the idea is it will be evidence-based, there will be data, but I also want to make sure that we focus on what's practical, what's implementable. Now, also, you're going to see this slide from time to time today because I don't want people to get lost in the acronyms that I might spit out, whether it be the HPA Access or CDC, Centers for Disease Control, or OR being odds ratio. So just kind of reference, people have asked for this before, and so I want to make sure that you're informed in that way.